I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Satyr Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. It's time for one of my favorite episodes and a yearly tradition here on Satyr Stories, the season wrap-up with our good friend and Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics here at Holy Cross, Kit Hughes. Kit, I can't believe another season has come and gone, but it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Satyr Stories.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, you and me both. These years they fly by, right? And it's been amazing how 24, 25 kind of evolved over the course of the year and how it wrapped up with so much excitement and just really, energized for the work that we've been doing and, eager to get to next year, right? The summer flies by in part because so excited to get these students back on campus and get going on another year, a year that I'm really hopeful is gonna lead to even more success. So great to be with you as always. Look forward to the conversation. Let's get to it.
Yeah, and this pod gets longer every year. To peel back the curtain a little bit, usually the first segment we talk about accomplishments, championships, banner raisings. This might take up the entire pod because you guys just stacked up titles this year. Let's start with most recently Patriot League Baseball Championship. First since 2017, reaching the NCAA tournament. Head coach Ed Kohovic, Coach of the Year in the Patriot League, so well deserved. Give me an idea on how he raised the bar for success so quickly with that baseball program.
Obviously Coach Kohovic and Coach Tinkham have done a phenomenal job these last several years. They've been consistent together as a staff, and that certainly has helped. They've worked their way through a lot of challenges, but they haven't let those challenges kind of knock them off the vision for what they saw as, really kind of this year being a year where they could experience a lot of success. 2 years ago, you're looking at one of the youngest teams in college baseball. We had a lot of young guys playing meaningful innings and getting an awful lot of at-bats and taking their lumps. And they just knew that if they stayed with it and these guys stayed together, that they'd have an opportunity to grow into the kind of team that we saw, this spring. And as we were talking about baseball, the number one thing I would tell people is it's a great team and it's a great team, right? It's not just that they're talented. It's that this was a group that was really together. They had great senior leadership. For the first time in quite a while, we had an incredibly talented first year class that didn't have to play right away, right? They had an opportunity to watch and learn the habits from the older kids and kind of marinate in that developmental stage for a full season. And a lot of those kids are chomping at the bit and they're ready to jump into meaningful roles, heading into spring 2026. So, the team's done a great job, and the leadership within the team, a group of guys that, there've been a couple departures, in this senior class over the last 4 years, but the core group, it was really meaningful to them that they knew and believed that they could stay and develop and win. And the fact that they believed that, and then actually it happened and they did it, is incredibly rewarding and something that we're all tremendously proud of. So it's a great way to end the spring, but they're not the only ones this spring that had a lot of success. And it was we've been working towards stringing success in the fall to some success in the winter seasons, all the way through commencement and beyond. This is the first time in a while that we've actually been able to do that, and it's something that we're all really excited about.
It was great to see that connectivity of that team pay off on national television, on ESPN, competing in the NCAA tournament. Dream exposure for Coach Kohovic's program. We were this close to seeing that with men's ice hockey as well, a run to the Atlantic Hockey Championship game. Bentley, sometimes you run into a hot goaltender, right? And he may have been one of the hottest goalies in the country, but I will never forget, Kit, how rockin' the Hart Center was, not just for that championship game, but that entire Atlantic hockey run. How excited is the athletic department about the success that we've seen in men's ice hockey? And how does that propel maybe some of the fan initiatives to pack Hart Center rink again going forward?
Yeah, I mean, moments like that championship game don't come around very often, and frankly, I was far more concerned with the event than I was with the game. I knew our guys would, they were well prepared. They'd play they'd go out there and they were gonna, give their best effort, and I was hoping would play their best game. And but the event, you don't know how things like that are going to go when you put 2,500 people in a facility like that. And in terms of just how everything's going to come together and the experience that our fans going to have. And I couldn't be prouder of, our staff, our support staff did an incredible job organizing things, communicating things, making sure that we were able to provide a safe environment for people, but also maximize, the energy in the building. And we certainly did that. But the buzz on campus that week was unlike the buzz any
Yes.
week since I've been at Holy Cross. It was incredible, and kind of seeing the general student body and their enthusiasm. I attended a couple classes that week and talked to students to get them there. We were down in Kimball and dining hall and in Hogan Student Center talking to students about it, and they were so fired up. And we saw the output of that enthusiasm was a line around the building about 5 hours before puck drop, right? And that's something we haven't experienced before. So our hope is that we're kind of in the process of setting a new standard for community engagement, for campus and student engagement. And certainly the hockey event is a great one, and that men's ice hockey program playing in the championship is a great experience for them, and one that, moving into next year, now they have that experience. They know what that feels like. They've played in another championship game. Now they've hosted it, and hopefully that sets us up for more success, in the future. But also, women's ice hockey had the most Hockey East wins they've ever had
That's
in
right.
program history. They won the season series against Boston College. That's never happened before. So you're seeing in a lot of these programs where, kind of the outward expression of all this hard work and success and momentum that's in the program, it looks different for men's ice hockey, hosting a championship, but it is absolutely there in women's ice hockey as they're building towards the exact same thing. And we're excited for all of it. So, the future is very bright in those programs, and it sets an incredible example for the rest of our teams. Certainly our baseball team benefited from seeing that experience that men's ice hockey had and going to the championship and playing in it, ultimately not being successful moving on. That benefited baseball as they were then hosting, and now they've set a new standard because now we can host a championship and win it.
Yes.
And then that creates belief for people, and other teams see that. And it really, success, I've said this before on this, success is contagious. And so seeing more teams kind of be a part of that really contributes to just an overall winning culture in our department. And that's certainly what we want.
Yeah, you can certainly feel the energy outside both programs. Katie LaChapelle and Bill Riga have done a tremendous job at Hart Center Rink, and a lot of people noticed that crowd during the postseason around the college hockey world. So Holy Cross won't be sneaking up on many people next season. Let's shift to men's golf. Nolan Sherman, first Holy Cross champ since 2007, qualifies for the NCAA tournament. The team overall finished second in the Patriot League championships. I know golf is a sport near and dear to your heart. What's the growth curve like for that program? I know there are challenges raising a golf program in the Northeast where our spring is short and our summer sometimes feels even shorter. So, how have you seen the growth of that program over the last couple seasons?
Yeah, I mean they're a program that's been building kind of, a little bit, in the shadows and in quiet, and they've had a lot of talent on that team. And this is the first year that, they were able to go out there and when the lights were the brightest, really meet with a lot of success, right? And they go out and they, the Patriot League championship, and the team, finishes second by one stroke, guys really showing up and performing in that moment, which is a byproduct of what they've been doing these last couple of years. Like it doesn't happen in a vacuum as this singular thing. It's all these little things being done consistently over time that put you in a position to do that. And that's certainly what's been going on, in that program. And again, it's another example of like different programs being at different stages. They had a chance to show the success and the growth and the work they've been doing over the last several years. They were able to show that at a higher level through their success at the Patriot League championship. And then certainly Nolan, winning the individual championship and having a chance to go on and, participate in the NCAA regional, incredibly proud and happy for that young man. Great leader for the program, does it the right way, excellent student. He's got an insanely bright future. And so having him, represent wear the colors and represent Holy Cross on a national stage, you can't ask, for more than that. And it was, it's an example of some of the individual accomplishments that we've had this year, right? And so things like sending 4 divers in the winter to
Yes.
NCAA, zones, for our swim and dive team, Coach Christy Jones doing a phenomenal job. Liam Lyons from track and field going to the NCAA regional in the 1500. First time that we've been able to do that in a while. Coach Alfonso and Coach Riley doing a phenomenal job. With our cross country track and field program and these individual opportunities. We're hoping that there's more to come, but we're just celebrating those kids and excited for their opportunity. And certainly, golf is a great example of that. But within that program too, this fall we hosted the first intercollegiate ever at Worcester Country Club for Holy Cross women's golf. This coming fall, we'll host that on the men's side, and we'll get into a cycle of rotating men and women every year. That's a huge piece for those programs, to be, have the opportunity to participate in and build the brand of this is what Holy Cross golf is. This is what it's about. And to obviously have a partnership with a historic course like Worcester Country Club is something that's very special and distinctive for us. And we want to lean into that. And as we do that, it gives those programs an opportunity to have even more success in the future. So I think we're on a great trajectory in our golf program overall, and just excited for what next year is going to bring.
An incredible relationship with Worcester Country Club, a past U.S. Open venue. Very few collegiate golf programs can say they have an invitational like that. I wanted to mention as well, women's rowing, highest standing nationally in over a decade. They're continuing to grow. I mean, women's lacrosse, Patriot League semifinals for a second straight year. Coach Belichick's doing a great job with that program. They are super competitive. And then looking around to the future opportunities ahead for women's basketball, they set an incredible standard. And now Candace Green has had her interim tag removed. I saw how excited the players were to see her ascend to full-time head coach. How rewarding is that for you to make that call and lock in a talent like Coach Green?
Yeah, it's incredibly rewarding, and more rewarding is just kind of seeing the job that she did. I mean, kind of always watching and evaluating and kind of getting a sense of, kind of how our coaches are thinking through challenges, how they're managing their team, how they're building that connectivity within the team, and then certainly the competitive outcomes and success that they're able to have. And Candace just did a phenomenal job this year. I knew that if at the end of this interim period she was in a position to be named, our permanent head coach, it would have meant that she built and reinforced incredible relationships with her student athletes. She was able to enhance the culture of the team. She was able to have competitive success. That the feedback from our kids was going to be excellent in terms of their experience working with her. That the feedback, frankly, from our support areas, sports medicine, strength and conditioning, whatever it might be, was going to be really, really positive. And that's exactly what happened. And so she earned this opportunity. There's no question about it. It was not a foregone conclusion. It was going to go that way, and it was going to be a competitive piece, which is a competitive process, which is exactly what she wanted. But at the end of the day, it was just clear she had won the job and won the opportunity, and I couldn't be more happy for her. And so to be a team that lost as much experience as we lost from the year prior, and as many minutes as we lost from the year prior, and roll back out and win 19 games and win a tournament game and get themselves back, kind of establishing the high level, kind of consistent quality of Holy Cross women's basketball, really, during a staff transition and shorthanded, really speaks well. And she's done a great job building her staff, kind of going into next year. We're, fully staffed and with really excellent folks she's been able to add to the program, and just excited to work with them and support them the best way I possibly can.
You mentioned some of the challenges that women's basketball faced. I've never seen an injury bug bite a team like Dave Paulson's men's basketball team this last season. What were your conversations like with Coach Paulson after the year, and how excited is he to turn the page to next season and get a fresh start after some really surprising challenges that just came up due to injuries?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the things you can control, and injury, that's something you just can't control, right? I mean, you can prepare yourself to sustain injuries. Injury prevention is an important part of all of our programs. But at the end of the day, some things can happen that you just you can't predict. You can't project it, and you just need to respond effectively in those moments to set yourself up. And frankly, even with all those injuries, we still had a lot of success this year. We still took a step forward. We started with incredible momentum. and this kind of vision of what this can and is going to look like, prior to some of those injuries taking place. But they still battled. And if you watched our games down the stretch throughout the year, we're in position to win games
Yes.
that, frankly, given people we were missing, I think a lot of people didn't give us a real shot to get it done, and we were right in it down the stretch. And so these kids, they were together. You could see that on full display, the culture of the program and how things have improved under Coach Paulson's leadership. You could see that on tape, right? And that's something that gives me an awful lot to be optimistic, for. And as you look at what he's done, during the off season, building the roster, securing kids who can be great contributors to this community, not just the basketball part, but who are set up for success academically and are going to be great citizens and members of the Holy Cross family. He and his staff have done a remarkable job. They're back here on campus, working out, working hard. I see them daily, and they see it too. They just like the team here. They're like, we have some pieces. We have a chance if we can work hard and be as together as last year's team was, and take that even a step further. Certainly stay healthy, but play to our potential. We have a chance to do some really exciting things in our men's basketball program. So eager for that. I'm really pleased with what I've seen out of these newcomers. A lot of talent, but really just great kids. Great kids. Talking to one in the hallway earlier today. I'll leave his name out of it, but oh my goodness, what a representative of our program he's going to be, and obviously certainly looks the part, right? So, it's great to have him here and have them working hard, and they have a lot of other pretty fantastic things coming up shortly this summer. I know we'll talk about those as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The overall student athlete, and I feel like Dave Paulson had a great feel for exactly what you and Holy Cross are looking for in the types of student athletes you want to bring to campus. I know there are a lot of curious fans itching to see what the upcoming non-conference basketball schedule might look like. Could you give us an idea of how your athletic department is looking at scheduling for men's basketball into the years to come, knowing that you have a program that just beat Georgetown on the road last season when that team was at full strength?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously we're gonna play a really competitive schedule, and we're gonna play some high major programs that give us a chance to showcase Holy Cross on a national level. And I say Holy Cross, I'm not saying Holy Cross men's basketball, showcase Holy Cross at a national level, and give our alumni and supporters, a lot of exciting things to connect over, and activate those text threads that you have with your classmates and roommates from back in the day, and get people really energized through some of these games we play. We can do that in our basketball programs, and we're going to continue to do that. So whether it's men's or women's basketball, you're going to see those games. Our kids want to play them. They want to test themselves against some of the best schools in the country, and we're going to give them opportunities to do that. At the same time, you'll look for opportunities. We recruit nationally, right? And so you look for opportunities to get some of the kids on your roster closer to home, so that if they're here from further away, they get a chance to play in front of a home crowd, or they get a chance to play a little bit closer to families and people who have played a pivotal role in their journey. You'll see some scheduling around that as well. And then certainly anywhere that we're going to recruit, or anywhere that we have an alumni hub, where we have people, those are the types of schools and places. And certainly any place where we feel like particularly important in today's day and age, we feel like we have a chance to play against institutions that are kind of philosophically aligned with us, that understand, that value education, they value athletics the way that we value athletics, in terms of the development of the whole person, and making sure these young people have access to a world-class degree. We want to find schools that do that. And certainly as you go up at the higher levels, it certainly looks a little bit different, but those schools are still out there. And so, whether it's getting the kids closer to home, getting closer to our alumni, getting closer to recruiting hotspots for us and pipelines, playing schools that are kind of philosophically and academically similar to us. Those are some of the things we look at when we're scheduling. And when we do it right, it creates a lot of excitement for our alumni and fans and friends. And so I hope people really enjoy those opportunities.
I love the idea of taking the basketball team on the road to play closer to home for some of these players. We certainly saw how special that was for Caleb Kenny going down to Virginia last season. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll talk with Kit Hughes about the 2025 Holy Cross football season and Patriot League football expansion. Don't miss that right here on Seder Stories.
We are UMass Memorial Health, and innovation is something that defines us, that drives us to discover new ways to provide answers and hope, to provide opportunity and access and equity for everyone, to redefine what medicine can do and how it can heal relentlessly.
Yeah.
Glad we got Jersey Mike's for the game.
Wait, does our mascot look like Danny DeVito to you?
Yeah, it does. That doesn't matter. This is a commercial for Jersey Mike's, where the subs matter most. Freshly sliced right in front of you. That's what they're all about.
You on the cheer squad?
And up to see Daisy. Yeah!
Ooh.
Oh, don't worry about me. Focus on those subs. Where the subs matter most. It's a Jersey Mike's thing. A sub above.
Holy Cross fans, don't miss the action at Fitton Field this season. Secure your Holy Cross football tickets today. Season tickets and other great offers, including flex vouchers and the Fitton 4-pack, are available now. For more info, visit goholycross.com/FBTIX or call 1-844-GO-CROSS. Welcome back to Seder Stories, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, joined by Holy Cross AD, Kit Hughes. Kit, expectations are high again for football this season. I can't believe we have a 6-time defending league champ in the second segment, but that's how great the expectation has been met year in and year out by this program now in the second season under Dan Curran. The Crusaders have 4 home games at Fitton, plus a season opener at FBS Northern Illinois, and a regular season finale at Fenway Park. I'd love to get an idea of how your athletic department put together a unique schedule like this.
Yeah, it's having a schedule that provides a lot of different types of opportunities is important. And as I talked about in the first segment, like we want to take our teams on the, when we go on the road and have a chance to play, meaningful games against teams that are in areas where we have alumni and can bring the kind of attention that can generate a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. And while the NIU game, the way that football works, is a little bit different. You get your football schedules laid out years in advance. While the NIU game wasn't one that I scheduled personally, getting to the Chicagoland area is absolutely right in line with my philosophy and what we want to do for all those reasons we talked about previously. So, NIU gives us a great opportunity to get out and play a team that last year went on the road and beat Notre Dame. I've played my previous life, been a part of programs that played NIU on a number of occasions. I know what kind of program that is. And I think it's going to be a great test for our guys coming out of the gates and starting the 2025 football season off, with a bang. It's a great opportunity for them, and one that I know that they're preparing very hard to meet that opportunity, here to start off the season. So eager for that. And and then obviously, after you do that, you're looking at, after you look at those kind of the bigger games, or those bye games as we call them, we're looking at, what our home schedule is going to look like. Who are our regional, rivalries and schools in the non-conference that we can play. And certainly we have a number of those number of schools on the schedule yet again. We want to be doing that in addition to playing our Patriot League schedule, which is extremely competitive, and as you alluded to, only getting more so.
Yes.
And so that's something that we're really looking forward to the opportunities there as well. The Fenway game, is a unique opportunity that we were approached about, and through some of our connections and relationships, at Fenway Park, and something that they wanted to participate in, and they reached out saying, Holy Cross is a school we'd love to have here. Would you be open to it? And that was a very, I don't know if they even finished their question before I said yes. But looking at it, end of the season game, those have been challenging at times for us, just given the lack of, the fact that we don't have lights at our stadium based on the weather and attracting people in, to attend those games. going to Fenway with the resources that they have, the unique environment, doing something that we haven't done, in 60 plus years, is something that I know we have a lot of people that are very, very excited about. And Georgetown's a perfect opponent because they're a school that has tremendous alumni presence in Boston. And when we reached out to them to say, hey, this is an opportunity that we have, we want to know if you're interested in moving this game, if you'll agree to moving this game to Fenway. I don't think they probably answered yes faster than I did when I got the first call. So they were on board from the beginning. Our hope is that we can really engage our Holy Cross community, the Georgetown community, and certainly football fans in Boston to come have a really special day in a unique venue and watch some high level football that hopefully, it has an awful lot of meaning for us there towards the end of the year. It can be a great game for a lot of different reasons. So, all in all, you look at it and in our schedule is, I think there's a lot to be excited about when you look at our football schedule. And as you said, Coach Curran going into year 2 with a team that has, kind of adopted his identity and more, kids who we've brought in, who we are incredibly excited about the talent that's been added, to the program to kind of continue that. We've been recruiting at a high level for a number of years, and Coach Curran has only been able to lean in and enhance that. And so we are very excited for the start of football season. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get too, overshare my optimism or thoughts, of grand success. But I think we're set up very, very well. We've had a lot of consistency on the staff. The additions we brought in and some pretty key spots have been fantastic. And the feedback from our student athletes and the ones that I'm seeing and talking to regularly now that they're here working out in the summer, they feel that and they're eager to get going.
Holy Cross football is like Roman Anthony with the Red Sox. Got the call up from Polar Park to Fenway Park this season. That's going to be a heck of a show in November. I'm glad you mentioned the ever expanding Patriot League. Just added 2 more outstanding programs from the CAA. This was like a coup. William and Mary and Villanova jumping over to the Patriot League. Richmond announced last year getting set to join the league this season. How important is it for a league like Patriot League football to stay on the offensive or in a growth mindset as conferences just keep gobbling up teams left and right across college football?
Yeah, I mean, I think with all the conversation around conference realignment and all those different, it creates so much uncertainty in terms of, are we in the right conference? Are we doing the right thing? Should we be considering moving? And frankly, the answer from day one has been we are in exactly the right position. That we're exactly where we should be. We are aligned with the other institutions in our league. We do this thing of Division I athletics the right way. We are not a transactional league. We are not a transactional organization. We are not bringing kids in, for any other reason than how they value what Holy Cross is and the opportunities that exist at Holy Cross to get a world-class education, become a member of an unbelievable alumni population, and play high-level Division I football. And as I tell kids, I spoke to a group of prospective students, you don't come here to settle. And if you come here to play football, you are not settling in a football standpoint. You're not going to settle in, you should not expect that to be the case. You're going to, you're going to be in a position to get your butt kicked in football every single day and get better every single day. You're not settling coming to Holy Cross to play football. And you're certainly not settling academically or from a community standpoint. We're pushing our kids and in ways that they get to find out how good they can be. And so, from a league standpoint, it was really important that we recognize we're a great league. And there we are a league that people want to be a part of. People aren't looking to leave our league. They're looking to join our league. And that, I think, is what some of these football additions have signaled nationally, is that we're a league in demand. And with the addition of Richmond and William and Mary and Villanova, we are the best academic football league in the country, right? That is what we've established ourselves as. That is what we are becoming known as. And with the addition of those teams, it positions us to be one of the best football conferences broadly in the country, FCS conferences in the country. And that's something I've heard and has been reinforced by a number of colleagues across the country who I've heard from, or I saw at our national convention, or I've spoken to as a part of my work with the FCS committee, that people are saying, this league is no joke. And this is something where, a couple years ago, we were trying to see how we can get from a one bid to a consistently two bid league. Now we're looking at, okay, how can we establish ourselves as a consistent three, and in some years even a four bid league? And that conversation is being had right now. And so couldn't be more excited about that. Couldn't be more grateful for the leadership of Jen Heppel, our commissioner of the Patriot League, and her vision to help make these things happen. How proud I am of our presidents for recognizing the opportunity that existed to bring in the kind of institutions and programs to our league to help elevate the profile. And like every other campus, also recognize this is going to, force us not to be complacent and not to rest on, we've had, a lot of years of success. That's just going to continue. No, we need to continue to invest and continue to get better if we want to continue to have the kind of success we've had in this revamped Patriot League that's going to be incredibly, incredibly competitive.
Wow, there's a big headline in their kit, best academic football league in the country. And I think with these new additions, even in the Ivy League's backyard, I think top to bottom, the talent will certainly bear that out. You can certainly have it all with Holy Cross football, the only FBS or FCS program going for 7 straight league titles. That would have been unthinkable not that long ago. Luke Newman drafted into the NFL, more professional talent coming out of Holy Cross on a yearly basis. And now the Mount St. James Collective. I like how you alluded to staying consistent in the Patriot League, but continuing to grow and focus on an ever shifting mindset of how college athletics are handled. I know we've got some upcoming videos coming later this summer from the collective. Keep an eye out for that. But I'd love to get an idea from you at the top of the athletic department. How vital has the Mount St. James Collective been in benefiting the future of Holy Cross?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just signals that, we are evolving like everybody else, and you can evolve and still stay locked in and true to who you are and your values and how you do this work. And that's exactly what we've done. This is, for some schools, they've been forced into a position where this whole new world has to become their main thing, right? And this is not our main thing, and it's never going to be our main thing, but it is a thing, right? That we need to be aware of, and we need to be providing resources and education and opportunities for our student athletes across the board, right? The NIL space is one that means different things for different sports and different programs, but we need to be set up to support all of them in a way that is professional and can build trust and provide those kind of resources in a way that is true to who we are. We feel like that's what the Mount St. James Collective is able to provide for us, and how people choose to interact with it is going to be different program, as I said, program to program and even student athlete to student athlete. But having that set up as a resource, helping people understand if that's something they're interested in supporting, how they can get involved with that, helping people understand that this is not replacing the importance of things like the Crusader Athletics Fund in terms of things that are critical to that daily experience, the lifeblood of our programs that helps us provide a truly first-class experience for our students that we can recruit off of and retain off of, and all the importance that Crusader Athletics Fund provides, and then have this as another layer, of something that we can provide for our students. So, we've been really excited about it. We are, even still just getting going, but this work in the NIL space is not new for us. Holy Cross has been doing good work, just more on the kind of the brand and marketing side. On the education side, certainly on the marketing side, we've had kids who've taken advantage of that over the last several years. And these are kids that weren't coming to Holy Cross because of it. They're coming to Holy Cross because of Holy Cross. They're kids that were graduated from Holy Cross. And then if they had grad years, moving on, they were declining opportunities to leave, which we have a number of kids who get, right or wrong, like it or not, our kids are often hunted, right? When they prove themselves to have the level of talent that's compelling at the higher level, they're getting, that kind of outreach, and they've turned those opportunities down because they came here for Holy Cross and they want to maximize everything Holy Cross gives them, through a degree. They've stayed and they've graduated before opening the door, if they had another year, to potentially doing something else. And I think that speaks to the fact that, what we're doing works. What we're doing is of value, and seeing how we're communicating that to people internally and externally through the recruiting process and their experiences as a student athlete has been effective and is something we want to continue. But, the Mount St. James Collective piece, that's something that can help us connect kids with career exploration or internship opportunities outside of Holy Cross to supplement what they're doing, and obviously recognize their growth in this current landscape, in a way that can help them. That's something we certainly want to be doing, and excited for the future and the opportunities that exist with that group.
And our student athletes grew in the classroom yet again this year. A previous standard of 3.4 GPA was set last semester. They blew past it, 3.43, spring 2025, tied top three again nationwide in academic progress. I mean, the standard is the standard here at the College of the Holy Cross when it comes to student athletes achieving in the classroom, finishing with their degrees. How do you keep climbing when it comes to continued success in the classroom? How much higher can you go?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think all of this just speaks to the incredible job our coaches are doing in the recruiting process, and then what they emphasize and reinforce daily with their student athletes when they're here on campus. They are going out and identifying kids, and these kids are out there, right, who are elite athletes, who value what Holy Cross is and provides, and the academic piece being a major, major part of that. And they're getting those kids to come, and we're just seeing the output of all of that effort, right? These kids, and you said it multiple times, you can have it all. And those are the kind of kids that we want. And as I said earlier, we're not going to settle, right? You're not going to say, I'm going to be great in my sport, but I'm going to be average in the classroom. I'm going to be great in the classroom, but I'm not going to put the extra time in my sport. I really love the community service, but I'm just okay on the other things. We want kids who want to be great in all of those things and are committed to doing the work necessary to have that kind of success. And so all of this is just a reflection of the great job our coaches have done identifying these student athletes in the recruiting process, and then just supporting and nurturing them while they're here on campus. And then obviously the incredible hard work from these kids, right? So that's what that is. What the top end speed looks like from an academic standpoint, I don't know. But let's keep going until we find out.
Right.
And let's also recognize that, there is no having to sacrifice one for the other. In order to get better competitively, you have to sacrifice on these other things. I run into people a lot of time who talk like that, and we're not playing a zero-sum game. That's not what we're doing. And the results speak for themselves. We just had the most competitively successful year in a decade, and the best academic year. That's not happening by accident, right? It's very intentional in terms of how we're recruiting, developing, retaining, nurturing, these kids. And this is just kind of the byproduct of all that hard work.
You've been very responsive to the changes in collegiate athletics in your role as athletic director. You've also been very responsive to feedback from alums, supporters of the programs. And this is why I love the Coaches Roadshow and now the Coaches Home Show initiatives to get out, connect with fans, have conversations, let them get to know these outstanding coaches. I'll say again, from a personal perspective, you've built a wonderful staff there, great to deal with. They've set a tremendous standard on and off the court. What have been some of the takeaways as you've taken the coaches out on the road, shared time with them on a plane or in a hotel or in a meeting room, and talking with some of your fans and supporters about what the future might look like working together with your alums?
Yeah, I mean, the response to the roadshow, this year is sensational, right? We, for the first time, went down to DC, not the easiest place to get around for a 6 p.m. event. And still seeing people coming out, you're seeing alums come out, parents of current student athletes come out, former parents, general alumni and sports specific alumni, joining to kind of be a part of it and just wanting to learn and see what's going on. So many people paying attention to what we're doing. I mean, a lot of these folks were so well informed in terms of what they're doing, even though maybe they haven't been able to in person get to a game in an extended period of time, and just kind of seeing what's going on, whether it's on social media or watching podcasts like this, Kevin, all of these things contributing to a sense of kind of inclusion and belonging and ownership over this program in this college. And we saw that on display, at these road shows, and the questions that are being asked are are fantastic. They're curious. Like, how are we operating in this current environment? What are your plans for dealing with these things that I hear about on TV or I read in the newspaper?
Mhm.
Um, how can I get involved, as an alum or stakeholder to try to help continue this great progress and momentum that you've been building up? That's what it's been. And just and then getting to meet face to face, meet our coaches and see what kind of people they are. We have incredible people here. And we gave them, great insight at these roadshows. This year, we talked a lot about, kind of like, a little bit of inside baseball. What's it look like when you're in a living room? What's it look like when you're recruiting a kid on Zoom? What are the things you're talking about? How are you explaining the value proposition of coming to Holy Cross and playing Division I sports here? What does that look like for you? And understanding, like, our coaches aren't out there selling. They're just sharing. Like, we're not, if we do an effective job communicating everything that this opportunity represents for the right families, that's going to be incredibly compelling and we're going to have a lot of success. And I think leaving these road shows, a lot of the people who are in attendance felt even more confident that that's exactly the case. And, finding ways for them to engage and get involved, whether it's through mentorship or attending games or realizing that they can send feedback or they can send a note about that neighbor's kid who's all everything in their state and make sure they're going to get evaluated and be on our radar. There's so many ways for people to help us, in addition, obviously, to supporting these programs through the Crusader Athletic Fund. And I think that the road shows this year were another great opportunity for us to kind of share that and build those connections with our alums and families and friends around the country.
Let's take one last break. When we return, we'll talk more about the future of Holy Cross athletics with Kit Hughes right here on Sader Stories.
Leadership and excellence in competition, in the classroom, in the community. For decades, Crusader Athletics has focused on our topmost commitment, elevating every student athlete to reach for more, to grow more, to achieve more. Help us to continue to strengthen minds, build character, and celebrate together as one Crusader Nation. Because when we commit together, we win together. Join us, Crusaders Together.
Many financial advisors are commission-based advisors that work for a bank. At Car Financial, we work for you. Our primary focus is helping our clients achieve their goals. You worked hard in your career. You've earned your retirement. Now let us show you how to make the most out of what you have. We're here to answer your investment, retirement, income tax, and estate planning questions. Through every stage of life, we're here for you. Call us at Car Financial Group today.
Sader Nation, our athletic programs have just wrapped up another historic year here on the Hill, and your support made it all possible. Donor support drives our success. As student athletes prepare to compete for championships again in the upcoming 2025-26 season, you can have an impact on our continued pursuit of comprehensive excellence with a gift to the Crusader Athletics Fund. Every gift to Crusader Athletics, no matter the size, supports areas of greatest need among student athletes for team development, sport performance, nutrition, recruiting, and travel. Make your gift by June 30th and help our Crusaders keep striving for excellence by visiting goholycross.com/give. I'm Kevin Gale, voice of the Crusaders, and this is Sader Stories, the official podcast of Holy Cross Athletics, presented by UMass Memorial Health. I'm thrilled to be joined again for our 2024-25 season review by the Holy Cross Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics, Mr. Christopher Hughes, but we call him Kit. All right, Kit, we talked about fundraising for travel, not just traveling to league games, but some great opportunities as well for student athletes to go overseas and experience maybe some of the international experience that, athletes don't get because they're working around the clock. Let's start with men's basketball going to Greece. How excited is Dave Paulson's team about this opportunity?
Oh, and they are. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime type trip. To go back to a place with so much history in terms of global sports and with just so many different things that they're going to have an opportunity to see and do and experience for themselves. It's far more of an immersion trip. It's a cultural trip, it's an educational trip, and it's obviously a great trip for our student athletes and our team to really bond heading into the year, and they couldn't be more excited. I'm incredibly envious. I'm not going on this one. I would I would love to be joining them, but they're going to have an incredible time, and they, the way that they've approached it and reaching out and trying to set up visits in advance with members of the classics department to come and talk to them about some of the things they're going to see. So this isn't just basketball, right? It's a foreign trip the way that we do it, right? Which is going to be far more comprehensive and certainly educational, and really lean into those cultural experiences that are going to stay with these young people for the rest of their lives. It's a really unique opportunity. And as you alluded to, it's an opportunity that would not be possible if
Right.
not for the support of some incredibly generous donors, alumni, friends of our program. And we're just so grateful to them for their support and seeing the need and the impact that they're able to make by setting this program up to take a trip like this. So incredibly excited. We'll have all sorts of content coming back this way from Greece, not just pictures, but narratives and people sharing information so that people can get a real sense of all the great things that they get a chance to participate in while they're over there.
Back to the birthplace of competitive sports, and now a basketball crazed nation. So they should get some good run over there when they're on the court.
Mhm.
Speaking of going to a place that is really a birthplace of a sport, how about the Henley Royal Regatta on the River Thames in England, men's rowing? What an opportunity for the Crusaders on the water.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's something we have not been able to go to in quite some time. Our student athletes are here training. They leave just in the coming days. And they're going to have an incredible experience. And have a chance to race really at the pinnacle of the sport. I mean, this is outside of the Olympics, really the best rowing competition in the world. And Holy Cross has an opportunity to be represented on the international stage. And so that's something that is incredibly special for Coach Barr and our student athletes. They've done an incredible job. They finished the year. They went to the IRAs, which is effectively, think of the NCAA championships. The IRAs are that's what the IRAs are for rowing. They were there for the first time in quite some time.
Since
They
2016. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going back there for the first time in almost a decade. Finished in the top 20 nationally. So much great momentum in that program, and another trip that, if not for the generosity of our stakeholders and our families and our friends and our alumni, they wouldn't be able to do that. So another incredible opportunity for our student athletes to share in something like that. And whether we're talking about women's basketball going to Ireland 2 years ago, men's basketball going this year, men's rowing going this year to Henley, women's rowing going to Henley, in the future. These are the kind of incredible opportunities that we can be a part of facilitating for our student athletes and give them truly these once in a lifetime opportunities that they'll remember forever. And so that when they're coming back, when they're staying connected to the school, when they're 10, 20, 30, 40, or 50 years out, these are the kind of experience that they're going to be talking about. So when they're getting their Purple Knights pin at their 50th reunion, they're talking about, do you remember that summer when we had a chance to go to Henley? Do you remember when we took that tour to Ireland? And you remember that when we took that tour to Greece? Like, that's the stuff that stands the test of time and builds lifelong connections. And that's a big part of what we're all about. So really excited for these kids. I can't wait to hear all about them again. Another trip I wish I was going on. I was starting to look at ascots and fancy blazers
Yeah.
and a hat so I could fit in at Henley. Apparently I couldn't get that done, so I'm gonna stay. I'll be at home just watching from afar. But they're gonna have an incredible experience. You couldn't be more excited for them.
You got to start pulling rank next year. Get yourself on more of these flights overseas.
There's plenty of people who are gonna have a great experience. It's good stuff.
You mentioned in the last segment that it's so important to engage with not just Crusader alums, but former student athletes, supporters of the program. And I think one of the best ways I've seen that manifest during your tenure has been really engaging Crusader greats through Hall of Fame ceremonies, jersey retirements, through this Sader Stories podcast. I've seen how emotional these student athletes get. Tyler McGregor in tears thinking about how incredible that college hockey run was with Holy Cross, upsetting Minnesota, talking with Ronnie Perry and his son Matt about how much it would mean to see a jersey retirement for Mr. Ron Perry if he was still with us. These are great ways to connect with multiple generations of Crusaders. So, what do you have on tap for us next season? Because I feel like these are really paying off in major ways for the college.
Yeah, I mean, when you start, when you kind of honor your past, you really, that common thread that connects generations, right, of Crusaders, that men and women who came here and had an experience that was truly life-changing, and you kind of celebrate excellence across this whole thing and understand that there's this thread that ties us all together. It's incredible for the people who did great things in our history. It's incredible for our current coaches and student athletes as well. And there's just so much pride and there's so much stuff to be proud of that we need to continue. This should be happening regularly. We have too much of a history that if we can't even cover everything right at once, and you can't do it at once. So we're trying to take bites at this kind of consistently, and I think we've done a good job of that, and it's something we want to do better and better over time. And certainly the varsity club and the varsity club Hall of Fame is an incredible opportunity to do that kind of work and celebrate success within our individual programs and just success broadly for Crusader athletics. But as you mentioned, these jersey retirements, and baseball was very special this year. Next spring, we'll have a softball student athlete who's going to have their jersey honored, and we have plans for more as well. And I'm going to keep those plans to myself, Kevin. I'm sorry, it's not everything. I can't share everything with you, but there's more to come, right? And it's something that when we look out across our programs, there's so much excellence and so many great legacies from people who've been in our program, and we're eager to recognize all of that. So, really excited there. I think, like I said, I think we've done a good job, but there's so much more work to be done in this area, but it's work that's incredibly meaningful to us. And I just want to make sure we're doing right by all these greats that, built the foundation that we're standing on as we kind of continue into the future for our athletic program.
I can't wait to see those surprises ahead, but I'm so glad to hear that you're really shining a light on the prestigious history of not just this college, but the athletics department. Recently, seeing Dan Curran send a box of football gifts, some swag to Coach John Gruden as he was opening it up on social media. He was just rattling through so many of the great accomplishments, the great alums, the great championships won by the college. And even as someone who covers the teams consistently, I thought, boy, once you start laying it all out and hearing it one by one, it really reminds you how special this athletics program has been for so long. And somehow, some way, Kit, you've just achieved the highest winning percentage in over a decade as the department. So pushing higher, getting better, and through the benefit of incredible support. You just had a record-setting Power of Purple Giving Day. Congratulations to you and all your staff. How vital is that as you start to shift toward end of year giving and start building support and excitement about the next steps in this progress?
Yeah, I mean, we've been so fortunate to have so many people who care, right? And they're passionate and they want to see us be successful. And just like I was talking about, and you mentioned the most, competitively successful year that we've had in a decade, and the best academic achievement that we've had, and we've been setting, fundraising records, each year. These
Incredible.
things they're not disconnected. They're directly related, right? And our retention numbers are the envy of schools across the country. I was at Patriot League meetings recently, and it was shared through all the information they're providing. Patriot League has the best retention, number one in terms of retention in the country.
Wow.
Any conference in the country, right? The Patriot League is number one, right? And so we are providing an experience that people value and that they want, and that it makes it incredibly hard for people to walk away from. And the daily experience, the impact on that from the Crusader Athletic Fund through gifts that are made on Power Purple Day, through the gifts that are going to be given between now and the end of the fiscal year on June 30th, right? That is impacting the daily experience that our kids have, that allows us to have all of these accomplishments that we're on this podcast talking about, and it gets referred to like philanthropy as the margin of excellence, right? We can be good, but we can be great, and we can be truly excellent in all these experiences we're providing kids with the support of our community, at a high level. And again, I thank everybody who's supported us to this point. I thank everybody who's about to support us before the end of the fiscal year, and we're just incredibly grateful. And my hope is, through all of the the madness that's going on around the country in college athletics and all the uncertainty and all the things that make people say, what are we doing? Like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. All of those things make it even easier to support Holy Cross athletics because we're doing it that right way. All those things that don't make sense, that's not how we do it here, right? Athletics at Holy Cross is truly co-curricular. It is directly tied to the education that these kids are receiving while they're on campus. They are growing as people and athletes and leaders, and they're staying and graduating at levels that are unseen at our peers. And then they're going off into the world and doing incredible things and giving back. If there's any department worth supporting, it's this one, right? If there's any mission and way to do college athletics that's worthy of people's support, it's this one. And I think that people are seeing that at a higher level. They're recognizing the impact. They're recognizing the direct line to the success that we're having and the type of people we're able to attract and recruit here. And our hope is that we can continue that trajectory. So, like I've said many times, this is work that is never done. You know, we are always striving to be better in every way. And just grateful to have so many caring and passionate people, you know, along for the ride supporting us so we can do this at a high level. So, you know, excited for to sprint through the tape, as they say, at fiscal year end. And I think when we look up and look at how we did, we're going to be really, really pleased. And again, immensely grateful for the support of so many.
Kit Hughes, congratulations to you and your staff. I've got to say, staff, on another banner year. Just like the teams that win the titles, it is not just one person, it is an entire collective of great people working behind the scenes at Holy Cross. It's a pleasure to work with all of you. I'm going to wish you and your family bon voyage for a little downtime this summer, and don't stay away too long because I think we're just a couple weeks away from the start of a new season.
Yeah, I always say that, you know, in college athletics, 4th of July marks the end of summer. You know, June is kind of evaporated. I don't even know where June went. It's been so busy. So I feel like, you know, the start of the year is right around the corner. And, you know, just as we said when we first started off talking today, you know, Kevin, just is so eager to get these kids back and see these programs who've been making those quiet, you know, making quiet progress in the background and doing that kind of work without the public, you know, recognition from high level success. I'm so excited to see them take the next step and them to see the fruits of their labor pay off and their commitment pay off, because we have a number of programs that are in that stage that I think are going to be really fun for us to see, you know, how they evolve and the kind of success that's coming for them. So, you know, grateful for the team that we have. As you mentioned, you know, I'm just the one who's privileged to be able to get on the podcast with you and talk about all these things. But all the success we're having is just such a reflection on our coaches, our student athletes, and our incredible staff that love Holy Cross and believe in what we're doing and get to work incredibly hard every day for us to kind of realize this vision we have. So I thank you for all you do. Until next time, can't wait. Thanks again. Go Cross, go.
Perfect way to finish it. Thanks again, Kit. And my thanks to everyone for tuning in. We ask that you tell your fellow Crusaders about Sader Stories, available anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. That's it for now. I'm Kevin Gale. Have a great summer, Crusaders.